I know what you're asking for Christmas. New underwear.
That would be me. Yeah.
Get ready, because you're listening to two nobodies talk about nothing on the number one podcast in their hearts, The JT and Drew Show.
Ooh, I'm loving this. Tell you what. Yeah. You gotta save the turtles, man.
Yeah, baby.
I'm quitting, you weak. Consider yourself fired. Thanks for nothing.
Hey,
Welcome
bud,
back. Welcome back. Do you want to redo that?
No. I wanted to do the intro because they told me I could do the intro.
Well, that was before you took a, what was it, like a whole year hiatus?
Listen, that was not me.
Let's ask the boss about that.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure his back is still a little sore.
Oh, don't you even.
Yikes. I mean, I get it, right? I traded shirts. I went from one side to another side.
Yeah.
But I didn't abandon the family.
I didn't abandon anybody.
I just went from kissing my cousin to my mama.
Ooh.
That
I don't know. Ooh.
that sounded better in my head.
That's
Well, okay, that didn't sound better.
no.
But
you've lost it. You're done. You can't.
I'm
You can't
keeping
come
it
back
in the
from that.
family,
That's gross.
but not like that.
I had to move to a completely different side of the base.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Jerk.
It wasn't my fault. Someone's
And
got
you
to make
had
the bread
to
around here.
accept a promotion. Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I sure did. I didn't abandon anybody.
Oh, yeah, well, I see how you could see it that way. But all of those of us that have been abandoned see it quite differently.
Wow.
A story to tell for another time, of course. When we are around the campfire, and those that choose to sit by me surely can. Or they can sit by you. Whatever.
Whatever floats your boat.
Speaking of boat floating, I saw an article about the largest snake recorded, or the largest python recorded in history being discovered recently.
Yeah, wasn't that in the Amazon?
Maybe.
I think it was.
At this point, all I remember is that it was on Earth.
And do pray tell, how big was this snake?
Big.
Bigger than life?
Like, really big. Yeah, it was big.
Like on a scale of
One to
small
big.
size truck to skid marks, no sparks. I mean, how big are we?
Ooh.
How big are we talking?
Almost 19 feet.
Oh. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to let you know that I've brought you here to talk to you about a topic that we have already talked about earlier in, what was it, season 2, season 3, early season 3, kind of mid-season 2-ish. I have a question for you.
Okay,
And I have a
I'm
question
listening.
for the audience, the listeners.
Yep.
But do you have an emergency plan? And by emergency plan, I just mean do you have a plan when you're cooking and you set the kitchen on fire? Do you have a plan?
That only happened once, and you said you'd
Okay,
never bring
well,
that up again.
I'm just asking if you have a plan. You didn't have to bring up the fact that you set your kitchen on fire.
Usually, water puts out fire, right? I mean, that's how it works in Pokemon.
Not with grease.
Yeah, they should put a warning label on grease that says that, so you don't... Anyway.
Don't add more warning labels to the warning labels, okay? Let's not do that. It's not McDonald's. You're not in the drive-thru, and you didn't spill coffee on yourself. Keep going.
Yeah, but they serve cold coffee, too.
Now. They didn't then.
Oh, they didn't. Yeah, this was like pre-mocha frappa, chocolate tuki baba, whatever stuff.
Yeah. So, emergency plans kind of more or less like natural disaster or a freak accident, or do you have a plan to combat emergencies in the current situation of your home or environment?
See, that's a tough one. And I know it shouldn't be, but it's a tough one because my initial answer, my gut reaction is, oh yeah, of course I have a plan, right? Avoid it or run or, insert scenario here. Here's my solution. However, I have not sat down with my wife.
Right.
And put this plan on paper.
Okay.
Or discussed it or practiced it or anything like that. If you remember in school, we used to do like fire drills and you would get in line and walk out, go to the rally point or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I know they used to, like when they had the fire department come to the school and talk to you about it and, oh, well, yeah, your family needs to have a plan. And, if you have a 2-story home, where is the ladder accessible to climb down and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So extra long story longer, I have a plan in my noodle, but it has not been communicated, nor have I staged anything necessarily to like, oh, okay, hey, when this happens, I'm going to go here and grab that. So I'm set up for failure.
Okay. So that's kind of like the rest, and I don't say everybody, but maybe a good majority of America, right?
I'd say the average Joe is probably at the same level of preparedness.
Right. And
they've thought about it, but it hasn't happened to me yet, so...
Yeah, why should I even worry about it if it hadn't happened yet? And, touche, right? But to have an emergency plan for something small or large would be beneficial. I would say that, like most people in the world, you're not going to practice said emergency plan, but you should, right? We really should. Hey, the kitchen's on fire. Everybody, let's go outside. Oh, hey, this has lasted 30 seconds. This lasted 1 minute.
Hey, if this happens, we're going to meet across the street at our neighbor friend's house or something. So it's not just, it's still going to be chaotic, but it'll be organized chaos as we used to say on active duty.
Right. Yeah, organized chaos. That was usually my desk. But it's good to have one. It's good to implement one. And we just kind of wanted to bring this back up, giving the current climate of the world at large, right? What's happening? What's going on? Is anybody really even listening to the news? What news source can you really
trust? Rely on?
Rely on. Yeah, what's reliable? We've seen, and I don't know if everybody's paying attention to this, but we've seen where you really can't trust the information that's being pushed out because there's other sources that are saying something else. And really the news is supposed to be biased to the listener or the reader. You're supposed to be able to read the information and process it in your own certain way. There's not supposed to be this, well, this news source leans this way to the left and something to the right.
Yeah, it shouldn't be partisan.
Right. So, right there, college boy.
Stop.
But that being said, there's been some news that have been coming out lately, at least through NATO, from what I can tell, where they're telling their population to have an emergency plan just in case something happens. And now I understand, hey, you're in Europe. There's a war going on, and Russia has just acknowledged this war. NATO is not scared, but they're pretty nervous about, hey, this could be pushed past the current conflict area into the NATO countries. And so their countries are saying, hey, why don't you stock up on 2 weeks of food, 2 weeks of water, 2 weeks of whatever, have a plan. Have a plan in place to either meet at a rally point with your family or friends, gathered, whoever, or have a plan in place to stay put. Get your cash ready, get all this stuff. Okay, or
why don't you get in this boxcar? We'll send you down the road. We've got a nice camp set up, and we will take care of you.
Also, we're going to need you to pull this little tabby thing. Makes this long barrel thing flash.
Yeah. Smile for the camera.
Papa.
Speaking, and I don't want to go too far down this trail. I like where you're headed. But speaking of the media and trusting sources, and we've said it a gazillion, million, quadruple, 1,000, 100 million, gazillion, jillion times. Do your research.
Yes.
But another proponent of this fake news or partisan leaning, whatever, is censorship. And we're seeing that, before it was kind of a, hey, we're not censoring anything, we're just making sure there's nothing inappropriate there. Okay, well, in my head, that makes sense. Well, we're going to do a little more now because you accepted that, but we're still not censoring anything. We don't want non-factual information to be out there so that you don't confuse yourself because you're not smart enough to decipher what's true and what's not. Okay, but now we're seeing it with this whole TikTok ban bill, whatnot.
There we go.
We're going to shut this platform down. I was listening to something the other day, and I don't remember his name. He's a Republican, if I'm not mistaken. But supposedly, and I need to research this as well, but supposedly he had, a while back, been on the whole bandwagon or train of shut TikTok down. All the while, he was investing large sums of money in Meta.
Oh, okay.
Which apparently is a huge competitor for TikTok. So let's get this thing shut down.
Yeah.
So everything relies on this thing instead, and I've got money there. So when people start using the crap out of it, I'm just getting rich.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we see that, and not getting too far down the rabbit hole, but you see other platforms kind of moving towards what TikTok is doing, the 1-minute videos, 3-minute videos, no more than 10-minute videos, things like that.
Yeah.
But what the other platforms aren't doing right now is they're not censoring you to the fullest of what TikTok's doing, where if one person says your stuff is offensive, your video is shut down and locked. But that doesn't mean that it won't go to that.
Sure.
So let's pop it back up. Emergency preparedness. Israel and NATO have come out and said, oh, hey, we're going to use a new technology called an E-bomb. I don't know if you've heard this, but it's an electromagnetic pulse bomb.
Oh.
And it's supposed to be this new technology, but doing a bit of research, not a whole bunch, and I didn't dig too far deep into this, but ultimately what it is it's just an electromagnetic pulse bomb that will take down the grid, more or less, right? There's from the very limited research that I did with this, there is no way that you can produce something like that with an explosion unless it's a nuclear explosion. So, and I say that softly to not kind of spook everybody. So, watching all these crazy videos online and doing, the littlest amount of research that I possibly could on this particular subject, they're trying to, what seems to be normalizing some sort of nuclear explosion in the air to not push radiation around and kills everybody with radiation, but they're trying to normalize it to when and if this does happen, people aren't flipping out, is what it seems to be. So an emergency plan for that, what do you do? I mean, how do you react to an quote-unquote E-bomb that takes out the grid when everybody in this country is having a hard time just buying normal groceries?
Yeah, no freaking joke.
You can't, the average Joe can't afford a Faraday cage or a Faraday bag or bags to keep your food preserved for 12 months or 24 months or however. I mean, the average Joe is just having a hard time. And I say Joe, I also mean Jane as well, is having a hard time just putting food on the table for themselves, their family, things like that. And I see you've want to comment so bad. So what do you got for me?
Well, you mentioned Joe and you mentioned Jane, but I'm wondering about the other 98,000 whatever endless possibility combinations.
Do we have to get into that right now?
Just wondering.
No.
Okay.
Joe or Jane. That's it.
So I'm reading on this E-bomb. Found an interesting article through airuniversity.af.edu. They've got little drawings of what this thing would look like, guided bombs, glide bomb kits, all that kind of stuff, which I don't know if we're going to get taken down for saying the B word, but
probably.
They have diagrams of basically what it would look like, how they would detonate it, yada, 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 the microwaves, the EMP effect.
Yeah.
In the pre-abstract, if you will, it says that it is a high-power electromagnetic pulse generation that has high-power microwave technology and are becoming technically feasible with new applications in both strategic and tactical information warfare. The development of the conventional E-bomb devices allows their use in non-nuclear confrontations.
That's what they're going to tell you. But what else pushes out microwaves?
Well, so I think the way they're trying to address it is, hey, we're two countries we're battling, right? Or two nations, two people, whatever. We're just painting the picture here. Before it escalates to a nuclear level, we have this option. And we could use this to not harm any humans, not even really harm any infrastructure. It would just take down the technical aspect of it, like you mentioned, the grid, the interwebs, everything else that we rely on outside of like food and water. And see if that would be an effective weapon to utilize instead of taking it to that nuclear step.
Okay. But in order for you to push microwaves out of a container, right? And what they're not telling you in that diagram is you need an explosion to make it happen, right? I mean, it shows a little mechanism that's going to explode it, and it pushes out the microwaves. You cannot have an explosion that has microwaves that's going to produce an electric magnetic pulse without pushing out some sort of radiation. all you have to do is just get it high enough to where it doesn't affect people.
Yeah, and that's what they're talking about, the EMP effect.
Yeah, so
A high-altitude airburst.
if that thing falls to close enough to the ground, it's a nuke.
Yeah, but these things don't fail. They never do.
Oh, okay. So you're going to go ahead and trust the government?
No, but if I had like a gajillion dollars, I'd invest in this. And then I'd sell the crap out of it to every person I know.
Right. So
Make sure you vote for this.
yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it says that this thing would do basically irreversible damage to a wide range of electrical and electronic equipment, particularly computers, radios, radar receivers, even as at the high altitude burst, like it
yeah.
is just meant to take out all electronics. So, all of you EV lovers out there, nothing against you, but something to think about. Well, shoot, even regular vehicles, right?
Yeah, because
They have electronic components.
Yeah. Most vehicles from 2010 on are going to be affected by this. You're just going to have a paperweight with rubber wheels.
How am I going to mow my lawn? I have an electric mower.
You won't.
That's not good.
Yeah,
Hope I don't get snakes.
you will.
I'll just have to use scissors. Well, you know what? I have a kid now.
Hey, you do.
He needs to learn about scissors and grass. So there you go.
He needs to learn about a lot, but he needs to get older. He needs to start walking.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, if you didn't know, for you and all of our listeners, we are in a 11-year cycle for the sun, and we have had a few sunbursts, Earth-directed, that has affected radio waves, which hasn't been too devastating, but we haven't had a CME yet. And NASA is predicting that we will have a CME before the end of the year. That could wipe out what they're calling the internet, but it could wipe out the grid as well. So,
Well, and don't be surprised if you start hearing things. We're gonna be testing this, or your cell phone provider is testing an outage. You know, it's routine stuff. Don't worry about it. The service will be reconnected here shortly.
yeah. So, and another big thing is the cyber attacks that are happening all over the world that we are experiencing here at home. Thoughts on that one?
They suck. You know how hard it is to get work done when your job is all done through the computer?
Well, what's really interesting, and I have a story about this. So, my phone provider is Verizon.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, my oldest.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
Okay. Your oldest?
My oldest and I were at the store, and we were getting new phones, right? So I had an Apple. I went back to an Android because I couldn't stand it anymore, and his needed to be upgraded. So we were there, and we went into the store. I told them what needed to happen, and they said, hey, it's a possibility that this is definitely going to take a lot longer than it normally would. Usually it's a 30-minute thing. You're in and you're out. You get a new phone, whatever. And he was telling me that we may not be able to do the transaction, but we can try. What was interesting was they were having failures randomly throughout the process. Hey, I'm in your profile. I'm changing. I'm scanning the barcode, and we're going to change your phone out through digitally. However they do that, it's magic. But what was happening was he would scan a barcode, and then the phone wouldn't register. Like the brand new phone wouldn't register. And then he would restart the system, and then the phone would register, but the other phone wouldn't, so we couldn't switch over my oldest. So we did this. It took a 30-minute process, took about 3.5 hours
Goodness.
that we were up there. And it was interesting to see.
Sounds like a poop break.
Only when you're on the job. It was interesting to see how they were doing it in the moment. So a phone would register, and then he would get the other phone to register, and then the other phone would be taken off. And it would be like right in front of you. You're watching this happen. And they would say, oh, well, we're just having technical difficulties. And I looked at him and said, no, you're being hacked. Because the way everything is happening would be how somebody would just mess with you, or how they would pre-program a bot or whatever to take things off and take things on. It would just be irritating. It's not. It wasn't harmful. It was just, this is annoying. Okay, please stop. But it was interesting to see. And then after I had said some stuff to the guy, he was like, holy mackerel, I think you're right. I think we are getting hacked, or the network, or whatever. The Verizon bigwigs, or the big database up there, was being messed with. Eventually, we got everything settled. Everything was saved into the profile. Everything switched over, and then I had to go and pay. And we opted to pay at the kiosk because the kiosk was ran on something completely different off of the main server that was in the building. It was ran on something else somewhere, so I paid there, and that worked flawlessly. So whatever they were messing with, they didn't affect the kiosk. So we eventually got to that part. But it's fun. It's funny to see. It's not fun. It's funny to see how it happens in real time. And then you start noticing things on your personal computer. Hey, my network's not really working. Oh, hey, my history has 1 or 2 websites that I've never been on. I've never seen this. So I just wanted to bring that up to kind of see. You guys probably want to start checking your website history, your catches, I think they're called, your cache or catch or whatever it's called.
Cache, yeah.
Yeah, you might want to check those. You might want to check if you did any online transactions, like even with Amazon, it's supposed to be secured. You might want to check those, and maybe just start taking your information off the internet, your bank cards or credit cards, things like that. Because these people, obviously, they already have all this information on all of us, and we already know this. But
China.
yeah, but in order to be better prepared for you, maybe just start removing yourself off the internet. And that's kind of where I'm going. I'm kind of removing all my cards digitally to better to be less of a target online. And I think
that's hard because most of
is
business is done today is online.
Yeah, it's all digital currency, the thing you hate.
Yeah, but you have to be super careful. My wife ran into this a couple weeks ago. She got a text from, and I'm air quoting, but from UPS saying, hey, we got your package, but we need you to send us your address because it's wrong in our system. And she asked me, she's like, do you think this is legit? I said, no.
Yeah,
do not click on that link. Do not reply to that email or that text. Just delete it.
Yeah.
And I get several types of those, whether it's, this is UPS, or the other day it was somebody texted me saying it was me. So I guess I was texting myself.
Yeah.
With some random link that made no sense. Okay, yeah, don't click that stuff. They're all phishing attempts. You click it, they get information, or they get access to your information. Practice good cybersecurity. If you have access to the CBT and you need a refresher, log into My Learning and knock it out. Affiliate link, not below.
No, not below at all.
Hey, going back to your E-bomb real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at these schematics from the Air University site.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The schematics are all from what year do you think?
I was going to say late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, 1996.
Okay. Yeah, because that's when I first heard about it.
Oh, look at me. I hear about things. Some of us don't share the same skin tone as you, so we don't have access to the same information.
What do you mean, you people?
But yeah, man. So this is out there. Another reason to do your research. Just because the news puts something out doesn't mean this is the first time that it's being put out there. Doesn't mean that, oh, well, we just now found this information and your government has not hidden anything from you or not told you anything. Chances are, by the time the government decides to tell you something, it's already happened.
That's kind of what we're seeing overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're paying attention. Now, if you're not, then you're not.
Yeah, I saw a video earlier, and it's kind of off topic, but it goes back to doing your research. This guy had asked, he went to, I forget where exactly, but he went to this like LGBTQ, homosexual, whatever, friendly area, and he was asking people about Israel and Palestine, wherever that is. And they were, which way are you leaning, or who are you supporting, or, what makes sense, what doesn't, just generic questions. There weren't any gotchas or, I'm trying to prove a point. It was just looking for information. And they were primarily for the so-called Palestinian people, which was very interesting. Then he went over there to that region, Gaza and whatnot, and he was speaking to the locals, and he spoke to a local, like one of the most revered, I'm going to get this wrong. Is it imam? Or their pastor, preacher, priest type?
Yeah.
And asking him about the LGBTQ community and homosexuality and all of that. And, they are very against it. They are killing people for it. They have rules where your family can mercy kill you. Like if you come out and your family finds out, oh, my child is gay, I can go ahead and kill them before the government finds out and they kill them. So I'm doing it out of the kindness of my heart.
Yeah, for the better good.
Yeah. And then so he was asking this guy, like, well, what's worse in your book? Somebody who's gay, or if your kid is gay, or if your kid is a thief? Gay. Okay, what if he's a murderer? Gay. What if this? What if that? What if this? What if that? I mean, it was just no ifs, no ands, no exceptions, no nothing. If you are this in this category, go ahead and kiss your life goodbye.
Yeah, but what's being pushed out to the gay community or the LGBTQ plus IBC community
so all of them are supporting this, but they don't really know what they're supporting.
Well, there's bad information being pushed out.
Yeah, you do the dang research.
I'd like to say that it's obviously it's all politics. So,
yes.
Yeah, like Drew says, man, do your research. This country's not perfect.
No.
Not by the long shot.
No.
But we are more accepting of people than other places.
Yeah, than a lot of the world.
Yeah.
The freedoms that we get to enjoy here, go anywhere else in the world and see if you have all of the same freedoms. And if you do, great. If you love it there, great.
Stay.
But for as much complaining as people do about here, go live whatever lifestyle Have as many spouses as you want, whatever, somewhere else, and see how that works out for you.
Well,
Do your research.
the big thing about that video is when he was showing those individuals what they were saying, it was like a shock. Like, nobody told me this, and we thought that Palestinians were progressive and the Islam religion was more open to this, and it's really not. If you haven't had interactions with a Islamic person or Muslim individual, and I might have gotten that wrong, you kind of see that they are very closed-minded when it comes to certain subjects. And the vast majority of Americans aren't closed-minded. We just don't care. We don't care unless it affects our paycheck.
Yeah, that's true. Don't touch my money.
Yeah. If I can't put bread on the table, then we have a problem.
Yeah. Or if you're trying to force something, it's one thing to, hey, here's something. We're putting this information out there. Okay. Wow. And then I can carry on versus, hey, we're putting this information out there. Do you accept it? No, I don't. Not for me. Well, why don't you accept it? You have to accept it. If you don't accept it, then you hate it. Why do you hate it? Well, I never said I hated it. It's one or the other. You have to do. No, I don't have to do crap.
All you have to do is eat, breathe, poop,
Yes.
die, and pay taxes.
Poop again. Oh, yeah, and taxes, yeah.
That's
I
the
hate that
American
one.
dream. Oh, yeah, everybody does. So, well, man, that was a good show.
Yeah,
We
man.
were kind of all over the place on that one.
In true JT and Drew show fashion.
That's true Drew fashion.
Thank you.
We will catch you later. Thanks for stopping by and listening.
Yes, don't be a stranger. Check us out on all of our platforms.
That's at the end. We already say that.
Oh, that's right.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, we'd like to say thank you for stopping by and listening to the podcast.
Yeah, we realized that you could have been doing anything way more productive, but you chose to waste your time with us.
We look forward to talking about absolutely nothing with you next time.
If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please email us at
jtandrewshow@gmail.com or visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/JTDrewShow.